All right, welcome back, everybody, to the SilmFilm script discussion for Season 3, Episode 8, Part 6. Yeah, 6, as the Chinese would say. Anyway, we're kind of restructuring the episode. We are doing something we've never done before. And instead of doing a 4-act episode, this is not something I want to make a habit because I feel like the 4-act structure has worked out very, very well for us in the past. But we're going to switch up to 3 longer acts. The reason is we don't have commercials. We don't really need to worry about it. It's not a big deal. However, I do think that more often than not, the 4-act structure has worked itself out for us, time-wise, hitting the beats that we need to hit and all that. Just so you guys know, a lot of television shows on today, because there are so many commercial breaks in them, have like 5 or 6 acts in them, and it's insane. There is just insanity all over television today. That's why television today is so terrible. Anyway, I'm blaming it on the 6-act structure.
It is true that it is.
You repeat your
amusing to have all the commercial breaks and on a show, and then be watching it on Netflix or something where there is no commercial break, and it just like sudden tension and the screen goes black, and then we pick right up with the rest of the scene, and you're like, why did we even bother doing that?
Or worse. Go ahead.
Yeah, or it doesn't even quite match up right. It's goofy and artificial and stuff. And so yeah, if we just don't even have that at all, and it's a much smoother continual show, it works better.
Nick, can you repeat the scenes as you were laying them out for Act 2, because I missed it?
Yep, no problem. I can totally do that. So in Act 2, so what we did was restructured. So Act 1, we have Finrod and Maedhros, Feanor and Curafin, Finrod and Fingolfin, Feanor, Fingon. Yep. I knew I was going to do that a few times in this episode.
Too many
those 2 are the ones that I have the most trouble with. The Feanorian departure and Tailwind. Feanor thinks the wind is all his own. No, it's Arus, or whatever it is. It's favorable to destiny. So I'm getting a little sleepy because I had to be at work at 8 o'clock in the morning. Anyway.
All right, let's finish this up.
Yeah. Círdan's, and it ends. Act 1 ends with Círdan sailing up the coast. Act 2 starts with Beleg arriving in the south at the mouths of Sirion and disembarking. He has a brief conversation with Galdor. They decide that the Philoptrum would be more or less safe where they're at, probably, maybe.
The Isle of Valar is right there, so if they need to retreat to an island, if the shore is dangerous, they can always do that.
Yeah.
There's no established community there at this point in the story. It's too early for that, but they can see the island, and they know it's there. They knew it was there before they got there.
Yeah.
So yeah, the safety of the area is related to the Isle of Valar.
When the havens are later going to be destroyed again, 7 seasons.
We haven't obviously got havens there yet either. Yeah. But the Teleri, before they departed, did live there for some time, so it's not a barren shoreland. It's like there's structures and things. Because the Noldor live there too, and the Noldor build things when they live in a place.
You have to make it look geologically like it's actually a chunk of Eresia. Anyway.
I had some thoughts on that, but they kind of went to the wayside. Anyway.
The volcanic ones?
Yes.
The volcanic thoughts?
Yes, volcanic thoughts. Anyway, so maybe I should start the timer. I'm starting the timer. Like, I know what I'm doing. So, Beleg disembarking at the mouth of Sirion. We get a conversation between Maedhros and MacLeod, because they, for all they know, we're not doing anything wrong. We're doing everything that we're supposed to do. We're going to come back and get the rest of the Fingolfin's host. Everything's working out according to plan.
Well, yes, but because we can start with Maedhros being fairly confident that things are going okay, but he can't be nearly as confident as he was when he talked to Fingon at the very beginning of the episode.
Right.
With MacLeod, there has to be a lot more honesty of, yeah, I am super concerned about Dad's decision-making skills right now. He seems very erratic. Things are being made for decisions are being made for the wrong reason. He was just angry with people. Like, they need to have that talk.
Yes.
On
yes,
the
I
ships
agree.
without their dad there.
And with Maedhros, he's actually going to be honest and be like, yeah.
Right. He and MacLeod have talked about their parents' marital problems their entire lives. They've had this conversation so many times of Feanor's doing this, Nerdnell's doing that. They're fighting.
And Maedhros going to be like, you know that no one got on board the ships, right? Like, we left without them. You know that, right? But I gotta avoid Maedhros looking like an idiot.
Right. That's why I wouldn't actually have MacLeod state that emphatically. I do think that they should be questioning it, though.
Yes.
Yeah.
It should be a, well, but wait, there's other people on the ships, right? It's like, did you see them get on board? Well, no, but they were, yeah, did that happen? Like, it should be a question mark of, well, that was supposed to happen. Did it?
Right. Because we didn't talk to anybody before we left. We just kind of left.
The signal went up and we left, and it's like, So
there
like,
should have been a little bit more fanfare there.
Yeah, they know that something's up. They're not dumb. Neither of them are. But the concern is not about the ships leaving, because like you said, in their mind, the plan is we go over, we come back and get people. So even if we left in the huff, who cares? We're going to come back and get everybody. Like, there's no harm done. Their concern is Feanor.
See, Maedhros is willing to set the ships on fire. So he, I was talking about this in the thread about this episode. Is like, I think this is what was I saying? I was saying he's not a person who seeks conflict, and he's like, he's not really happy about leaving Fingolfin behind.
Mm-hmm.
About it.
He goes along with it anyway.
He goes along with it, and he's not like he goes along with it to the extent that he's not like he's like smiling and nodding when Maedhros is talking about going back and getting them, but it's like, if it was up to MacLeod, they wouldn't necessarily bother. Maybe they would, maybe they wouldn't. He's kind of ambivalent about it.
Yeah.
And he's definitely not going to go against Feanor's will in any way.
That's the deal, is that he's not going to consider the biggest problem to be whether or not Fingolfin's group comes along. Like, his biggest problem is Feanor going crazy and doing stupid stuff.
Yes.
So
and
standing up to Feanor is not an option in MacLeod's book of things I can do today.
He's not a serial person who seeks out conflict.
Right. Feanor's the bigger personality, the more immediate concern, and therefore rules out dealing with the whole Fingolfin mess.
Yes, and it'll be a little ironic that we're having MacLeod question Feanor's leadership skills, and then he's going to totally fail when he has to be the leader.
Yeah.
It'll turn out he sucks at that, but
well,
yeah, which is why it'll be interesting conversation. That's part of why we need this conversation now between MacLeod and Maedhros. They can talk after the burning about whether or not Maedhros' action looks like a coup or not, because it was a pretty public, I'm not doing what Dad said.
Yeah.
So that's pretty serious in this group. Just saying,
he'll still be alive by the time it's over.
Right? There's a question mark there.
Who? What? I missed that.
Maedhros is lucky to still be alive after the ship burn if he argues with Dad and doesn't participate in the ship burning.
Angrod is the one who tells Dad to his face, "You're insane."
Felon Faye you have become is kind of the same thing as saying you're crazy, Dad, but
yes,
only kind of.
but it does say no one ever dared mention this to him again.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So Feanor is clearly so angry over what happened that you have to walk on eggshells and pretend it didn't happen, which is why Maedhros gets away with it, because to confront Maedhros over it would be to bring up what Maedhros did or didn't do or said.
He'd be like,
so
hello, I'm the only person who didn't help murder Angrod. Well, Amros, we two are the only people who didn't help murder Angrod, guys.
Yeah.
Is this a problem or not?
No, it's that nobody wants to talk about the fact that Amrod just died. Well, Feanor doesn't want to talk about it, so no one's going to talk about it in Feanor's hearing, which means Maedhros' apparent coup just gets swept under the rug and everyone acts like normal.
But he wasn't. He's not actually planning on challenging Feanor, taking Feanor.
Of course he's not. But
very publicly, he's very publicly opposed the decision.
Well,
and
it's
not like the conversation that he had with him was in private. Like, he's
There's
with him, walking up to Dad and saying, because why would we getting that?
There's effective and non-effective ways of challenging someone. Non-effective ways are you just shout about how you don't like what they're doing, but don't actually do anything to cause the group to move in a different direction. In other words, you can raise a big stink about things and stomp out of a meeting and be dramatic, and that doesn't mean you've challenged someone's leadership. You've just made a spectacle of yourself. Or you can challenge someone's leadership and plan a coup.
Feanor, although we can illustrate over the next couple of episodes that Feanor does not entirely trust Maedhros.
Yes, and that's the thing. We have to do something with this because we have a couple episodes between the ship burning and Feanor's death.
When Feanor died, is he gonna
what?
When Feanor dies, is he gonna say who his heir is?
Well, that's a question mark, right? And he has all the sons swear the oath.
But is it, Maedhros?
We know that everyone listens to Maedhros from then on until the end of the fifth battle, even though they don't like what he's saying.
Because he's good to listen to him because he's the guy who herds his brothers around like sheep, or is it because actually made him his heir?
I don't think he does name him. However, we can have him making direct eye contact with Maedhros as he's forcing them to repeat the oath, making it very clear, like, dude, this is on you. But we can get to that in a few
episodes. Yeah, because the host may take Feanor's death in different directions than we decide anyway. So let's I'm just saying, let's hold off on that one. But the point is, the conflict between Maedhros and Feanor will develop over the next couple episodes. So in this episode, we have to acknowledge that conflict is based on something other than Maedhros just being mad.
Yeah, it's like
he's not just not burning the ships because he's angry. He has a legitimate complaint about how his father is doing things.
Yeah, it's like as he's saying to MacLeod, and it's like the difference between them is that while neither of them are willing to challenge Feanor completely, MacLeod's not really willing to do anything about it. Like not comfortable with what Feanor is doing, but he's not going to make a deal about it at all.
He's not strong enough to even not do it.
He doesn't want to start a fight, and he hasn't really got the moral backbone yet to stand up like that. He's going to get that moral backbone, but he hasn't got it yet.
All right. So if we then get the reaction to the Feanorian departure by Fingolfin's host, who are our POV characters here?
Because he's going to.
Fingin, Fingolfin, and Turgon are probably the main ones, but we also have Angrod expressing the "I hate Feanor so much, let's go kill him" attitude.
Wait, what? When did that come?
Yeah, Angrod is actually coming out as the most vehement anti-Feanor voice in all these discussions.
Which is based on the conversation that he has with Thingol later on.
Yeah.
That's where
I mean, later Turgon is going to become Angrod at least starts out going along with the we reconcile, whereas Turgon is like never really gets on the we reconcile.
Well, Turgon hasn't lost Elenwe yet, so Turgon is much less a vehement voice at this point in time after the Hellcrox.
Not to mention Turgon has to go through some kind of there has to be some kind of direction. There has to be some kind of point to him getting the vision, because it looks a little weird if he's like this, if he's out of the gate, like Feanor is a terrible person, he's abandoned us, we need to move on without him, we're not waiting. And then the next thing that happens is he has a dream which illustrates that Feanor has betrayed him, and he comes back and he's like, hey guys, you remember what I was saying before? I just had a dream that just totally confirms what I was saying.
Should it confirm or should it change his mind? Because we're going to have him change his attitude towards the Feanorians and we're going to have major character development when his wife dies.
Right. which hasn't happened yet. So at this point, he's just milder in his opinion. He doesn't have necessarily a super strong opinion about all this stuff.
Okay.
So he could even be one of the wait and see voices of, yeah, this looks bad. I don't trust him either, but let's just hang here and see what happens. We're not in any rush to do anything.
When he thinks there might be a chance that someone will come back to get them.
Yes.
Yeah.
Fingon does not think there's a chance, so Turgan can.
Yeah.
Who doesn't think?
If Fingon just had a fight with an argument with Maedhros, and he's concerned about Feanor's sanity, Fingon can be a voice of, yeah, guys, I don't think he could be the last one to speak up in that meeting, right? And he can say, guys, look, I really don't think this is obviously not direct dialogue, by the way. I don't think they're coming back. I know Maedhros better than any of you know any of the Feanorians at all. And I'm telling you, I don't think they're coming back.
We should get something like that from Fingon, that he's given up on the Feanorians, which is not the same thing as swearing vengeance against, but he's given up on them.
I don't think
he thinks they're on their own. You know, like that's basically his viewpoint.
He thinks they're on their own, but he's gonna have to totally his mind.
I'm sorry, what?
He thinks they're on their own, yes, but if he's up on them, he's gonna have to drastically change his mind about that later.
Yes. I think that
Well,
Maedhros being captured is kind of going to make
Feanor being dead and Maedhros being captured are two important details in what's going on with the Feanorians. And he doesn't know about Maedhros standing aside the ship burning when he decides to go rescue him. But
no.
He decides that despite, even if his friend abandoned him, he's not going to abandon his friend. Dave says, do we also need a moment with Galadriel and or Finrod? I think they would be there, certainly. I don't want to put too many voices in the scene, like big, because that's going to be a big thing. Go on.
The previous episode focused on Finarfin and his family, so this episode can focus more on Fingolfin and his family. So Fingon, Turgan, supposedly Arethel, if we had a voice for her. I don't know if we've come up with something for her to say in particular, but those voices would be better in this episode. We could show that Finrod is assuming leadership of his people, so Finrod could come to a meeting with Fingolfin like, I'm my dad now, so here I am.
Yeah.
But other than that, we probably don't want to do much with Finrod and Galadriel in this episode.
We will get much more of them, though, as
in the next episode.
The Hellcraft. Yeah, absolutely.
So there's going to be a conversation between Fingolfin and his sons and Finrod. And Arethel's not Arethel, and
well, we can put something with Arethel in there. I don't know if we expressed her opinion on anything. So I don't know what she would be saying. She might be one of the wait and see voices too. Of
voice because
she's also pretty pro Feanorian.
Yeah.
And pro Turgan. So if Turgan's saying wait and see, she would say, "Oh, sorry."
Yeah.
If Fingal is like they don't care about it, be the one who's like, maybe we're gonna, maybe we should wait and see because they might come back for it.
Right, she's friends with them as well. So Fingon's not the only one who has friends that are on those ships, and she hasn't talked to her friends in a long time. I mean, they're not like hanging out in the camp buddy right before this either, but there's still some expectation on her part of this might not be as bad as it looks.
I think this might not be as bad as it looks. So what do Turin and Feanor?
Let's see. So Fingon is saying, I think this is it. I think we're on our own. I think we have to figure it out.
Like
Turgan is more wait and see. Arethel also wait and see. Angrod is like, those horrible Feanorians, they deserve as much of our vengeance as Morgoth does. Let's go get them. That voice needs to have something kind of in between, I guess, of like someone has to be talking about the, well, let's just keep going, we'll see. And we'll figure it out without being like, and kill the Feanorians for this horrible betrayal. So
he's
if we
at this meeting and he's like, we need to go get vengeance.
Angrod's, yeah, apparently Angrod is going to be quite vocal about his opinion of what just happened, and therefore jump to that conclusion very fast.
I would say that he's the first voice that speaks up in the conversation.
Remember that his dad just left them, and now the Feanorians left with the ships that he was counting on. So he has a little bit of an immediate abandonment issue going on as part of why he's so.
Is what? We missed it, whatever it was you said.
Does he really want to start another kinslaying?
They're not around, so it's not like he's looking at them and saying he's gonna. It's more of a, they're not here, so I'm so mad at them, I wish I could.
Right. And also Fingolfin can kind of repeat kind of the way that he was looking at things before and just kind of give him a look like I'm not comfortable with that kind of language at this point.
Who does that?
I would say Fingolfin, because he just swore. He just got finished swearing he was never going to raise his blade against his kin ever again.
Yeah. And that includes Feanor.
Right.
As much as he would hate to admit that.
Yes. Feanor would hate it more.
I know. Which is why he will admit it.
Fingolfin, so the ending is who has the last word? Is it Fingon or Fingolfin?
I think that Fingon would have the last word in this conversation.
Yes.
So we've got Angrod and Fingon start and Fingon ends it. So then we have Fingolfin, Finrod, Turgon, and Arathel need to be somewhere in the middle, because Fingolfin also needs to say, "There's no way the Feanorians are coming back for us."
That's Fingon.
No, I think Fingolfin should say it too.
I don't think that no, because once he says that definitively, their story's over.
Right, because he's the king, so whatever he says goes. Which is another point that, yeah, he's the acting king. At what point does he make that official? Probably not until after they're for sure certain that the Feanorians aren't coming back.
I think either in this episode or in
the next one.
Alcaraxe episode.
I think it's in the next one.
Yeah.
Is that when that's going to happen? Because we need him to do something definitive that's not, let's make a decision.
Right.
So yeah, I think he's going to declare himself king in the next episode. But he's obviously acting king to everybody who's there. So it's his own sons and his brother's sons who are going to follow his leadership.
Yep.
All right. So, all right. After that, we need to, and we can lighten it up a bit and have some fun on ships.
Well, okay. So we haven't, like, Arathel, Turgon, and Finrod. What order do they talk, and what does Finrod say?
Well,
Finrod is there to take the place of his father. Like, that's his role in this conversation, is to step up to the plate and be the leader of the host of Finarfin.
Does he say to calm down Angrod?
Probably.
Yeah.
So if Fingolfin's going to be like, dial it back a notch.
You remember the question that you just asked? Do you really want to start another Kingslaying? Finrod can ask that question. That is the perfect role for him to have right there.
Yeah. So that would at least shut up his brother, even if it wouldn't change his mind on anything, which is appropriate to what we need right now. Because Angrod's going to still say angry things for a little bit.
Yeah. And then Arathel and Turgon are like, wait and see. And then Fingon is like, guys, they ain't coming back.
Right.
All right. So after that, go on.
Cute comedy relief with Feanorians not knowing how to get great.
Yeah. I feel like having the twins be the focus of that scene gives us some time with them.
And then
we need some time with them right now, especially if we have some time with them, kind of having some like if Maedhros makes it kind of ridiculous, not ridiculous, but if he makes fun of Angrod for breaking his ship, but it's not like it's brotherly.
There's nothing malicious about it.
Dave asks how much time needs to pass before they reach the ultimate conclusion that ships aren't coming back. It can't be incinerated fast. I agree. I think we do need to get one more conversation with them.
With who? What?
Dave's asking how much time needs to pass before Fingolfin's hosts reach the ultimate conclusion that the ships really aren't coming back. It can't be instant or even fast. It's going to happen in the final act. The final decision has to happen then. It can't happen before.
Yeah, they don't know for sure that it's over until Turgon has his vision, which is after the ships burn or as the ships burn or related to the time of the burning of the ships. Because we're not going to show his vision before we show the actual ship burning on screen.
We don't need to return to Fingolfin's host until Turgon's vision in Act 3.
Oh, in real world time, it doesn't matter. We can't.
It's however long it takes to sail across the ocean.
Yeah. Weeks or even maybe a month or two is probably a valid way to put that. But well, I don't know. But I'm just saying that at the end of the day, it's an episode of time. Is how long it takes.
Is Josephine on a ship with Feanor talking with him and having a totally different conversation than the one we just had with Maedhros and MacLeod?
I think that is something that is going to happen.
At some point in here, yes. But I think we were going to do something lighthearted before we got to Curfin and
yes, because that's
Feanor
going to
be death.
breaking a ship by accident because you're incompetent, or should we have a separate incompetence scene? Or should we have Bellatrix and Balerion?
Well, we're going to have that. I think is going to be the end of the second act.
I was going to say Celeborn land on the island as the last thing in that act, because that returns to Drengist kind of.
Well, we'll get there in a little bit, but we're still in the middle of Act 2 now.
The Feanorians have to land as long as the Feanorians land before we get there. Yeah, that's the only important part of that.
Yeah. So, one thing that if we're gonna have a ship break, we should do that earlier in the voyage. So now would be a good time for that. And the fallout from that doesn't have to be anything dramatic. It just puts Angrod and Maedhros on the same ship if they were on different ships to start with.
Yeah. And then they're conversing about their plans, and Maedhros has to try to talk Angrod out of it, and he thinks he succeeds, and neither of them are happy with abandoning Fingolfin, but they have different ideas about it.
Yeah.
Oh, the issue for Angrod is not necessarily just to go back to Valinor to get Fingolfin's group. Angrod is supposed to be questioning up to the point of, did we make the right call after the doom of Maedhros?
Yeah.
Maedhros said turn back and that we're in trouble personally because of this whole oath business, but should we have kept going? Like, is this the right thing? So he's not worried about whether or not the host broke up or whether or not Fingolfin's group is in or out, because that's really not Amrod's main concern. He doesn't care about that. The person back in Valinor that Amrod's been thinking about is Nerdinel, who's all the way back in Valinor.
Yeah.
So if he's talking about going back, he's not necessarily talking about for the ferry service. He's talking about giving up on this whole quest to Middle Earth business.
I mean, he should do that, but I think they should be uncomfortable about abandoning the other elves too, because that is in the shibboleth. It's like he's shocked by his father's decision to abandon Fingolfin, and he's like, I think it's fair to show that they're like not comfortable with this, not because they have any special friendship with the other people, but just because they're less invested in the cult, so to speak. They're closer to their mother in thought as well as emotionally.
But that's the thing is, if he brings up his mother at all in this conversation and he talks about going back, that's going back.
Yes. I mean that should be part of it. It should be like he wants to go back and like he wants to go all the way back.
Right. He doesn't want to take this ship journey to Middle Earth that he's in the middle of taking.
Yes. And Maedhros, what does Maedhros say to try to talk him out of it? Like, you break the oath and you go to the void, or I think we should continue to get revenge on Morgoth, or...
Yeah, I think Maedhros should be a little bit more committed to the ideals of the rebellion than being okay with throwing the towel in. He's maybe not super cultish, but he's not opposed to the rebellion. So he doesn't trust the Valar. He thinks that they're complaint against Morgoth is a valid one. He killed our grandfather and stole the Silmarils. Therefore, we should go make him pay for that. So I think Amros stands by the oath at this point.
I think the other thing, I agree with that. I think I like the idea of having Amros like show real concern. What would happen to Angrod if he broke the oath, and like show how concerned he is for his brother and like how much they care about each other. I mean, and he's like, I don't want to think of you going to the void because you broke the oath.
Yeah, he should say, yeah, he should hold him to his oath and be like, well, that's not even an option for the obvious reason. Like, you can't even think about doing that because the oath, because the penalties of breaking that would be, you can't break it.
Yeah.
And Amrod should agree on the surface, like, yeah, of course, I know that. And it looks like and I wouldn't do it, but he just says, I know that. Like, duh, don't tell me what I already know. I swore the oath too.
Yeah. All right. Dave's also made a bunch of comments, but I want to get back to them after we come back from a break, which we need to do like 5 minutes ago. So if you're watching us live, hang in there. We'll be right back. If you're watching us on YouTube in the future, definitely like and share the videos if you like and want to share them. If you haven't yet, feel free to subscribe. Check out the links below for information on Sigma University, MacLeod Academy /Institute, the SilmFilm Project, and Myth 5, which is coming to the Leesburg National Convention Center, which will be on June 21st to the 24th. We'll be back in a second.